Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining in. Wishing all of you a very good evening. We're just going to wait for a couple of more minutes for everyone else to join in, everyone who signed up and registered for the webinar. Meanwhile, as you guys are joining in, I'll introduce myself. I'm Praneeth. I'm the Associate Director at upGrad. I have with me Falmouth University for this webinar. We've got a delegation from the university. We're going to talk about different opportunities in the United Kingdom, talk about different courses, new age jobs, new age domains that are on the rise. We'll talk about different courses that you can pick up in the UK that have substantial employability. And we'll also talk about how the UK fares to other parts of Europe or the United States or Canada when it comes to opportunities. So all in all, you can use this space to ask any questions you may have about UK as a possible study location for your masters. I will slowly introduce the team at Falmouth as well, just waiting for a couple of more students to join in. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on a Wednesday evening. I am pretty confident that together with the Falmouth University delegation, we'll make sure we answer each and every question for you. Also, I'd like to remind everyone that webinars are a little bit bandwidth intensive, so may want to turn off other things that may be using your internet bandwidth to optimally hear and watch us. Besides that, there's a Q&A button at the bottommost panel of your Zoom app, or if you're using the web application of Zoom, it should be somewhere towards the bottom, a Q&A box. So make sure you're putting all your questions in the Q&A box. I think now may be a good time to start. So I'll introduce myself once again. Hi, everybody. Wishing all of you a very good evening. I'm Praneeth. I'm the Associate Director at upGrad. I'm here for this webinar with Falmouth University from the UK. Falmouth is one of our pioneering partners for the upGrad Excel courses that we regularly admit and enroll Indian students into to make sure that we're helping them democratize their higher ed. So it is more equitable. They've got more power. They've got more control over how much time they want to spend on campus and how early can they start in India. And we'll talk more about it, of course, over time. But I'd love for you guys to know who's with us from Falmouth. We've got Sam Burney, who's the international lead at Falmouth University. We have got Marcus Simmons, who's the program chair and leader for the MSc Entrepreneurship course. And then, of course, we've got Stuart, who's a lecturer within the MSc Entrepreneurship faculty team at Falmouth. I think it very rarely happens that you've got a whole team from a university, more so in the UK, where they come, they talk to you, they address different questions you may have eye to eye and upfront. And I think the more up close interactions you have with the faculty, you always get a wider and deeper perspective on how universities really think, who are they looking for, and how is the course designed. And I'd also like to remind all of you who've joined us that when you finally submit your application to any university, it is this set of faculty members like Marcus and Stuart who are actually reviewing after Sam does the initial vetting and Sam's team does it. These guys are the ones who make the primary decision on who gets in. And I think understanding how they think, understanding if you're a good match or a good fit for the course is very important. And individuals like Sam would be able to help us in this webinar if UK is your place, if UK is the right choice for you, vis-a-vis your study abroad location, and what are some of the opportunities that await you should you be choosing the UK. So I'd give it to Sam. I have a few questions, but I just want Sam to introduce Falmouth University in a quick minute. and then I'll jump to a couple of things that I have to ask you, Sam. I'll ask a couple of things to you, then to Marcus and Stuart, and then in about 25 or 30 minutes, we'll move to the slide deck where you can present more about Falmouth. So I'll give it to you, Sam.
Thank you for that brilliant introduction, Puneet. Really looking forward to talking to some of you in the audience today and discussions as well. Really insightful point that it's going to be Marcus and Stuart and their colleagues at other universities who look into each and every application. So sessions like this are really valuable, but only if you are prepared to ask your question and put your question in the Q&A. So really looking forward to hearing from you and making this session really interactive. In terms of Falmouth University, many of you will know the university name already. We're one of the top ranked universities in the UK. We're number one arts university last year. We also topped the tables in areas like graduate business leadership, and Cornwall Business School is one of the youngest business schools in the UK, but one of the most focused and big reputation in areas such as creative business, meaning things like marketing, like experience management, and what we're talking about today, creating new businesses or developing existing businesses through entrepreneurship. So Falmouth as a place, it's very different from a lot of the locations that you may be familiar with in the UK already. So a place like London or Glasgow, big city, that's not us. Falmouth is a beautiful part of the island of Britain. We're on the far southwestern tip of England. It's a holiday area, it's a resort area. We have the ocean, we have clean air, we have lots of space. But despite that isolation from some of the ills of city living, we're also very well connected to employers. And through our employability team, our award-winning careers team, we've got lots of placement support for our students. So Falmouth University, it's a practical, creative university that's doing very well in terms of creative business. And through our partnership with upGrad, we're looking forward to bringing some new opportunities to students from India, which we'll talk about today.
Thank you so much, Sam. I'd love to go to Marcus now. Marcus, I think for any student, who aims to move from India to the UK, one of the biggest and the most important, the most imperative question is, which is possibly the most employable or the most lucrative course that can get me a high yield and that also makes sense to the UK economy. How do you look at MSc Entrepreneurship from that lens? How do you think it's relevant for the UK economy? But how do you also think that, how do you assess UK as a good place or a lucrative hotbed for supporting startups?
Okay, yeah, thanks. There's a stat that I was going to be referring to in my slides that if you, there's a survey done 18 months after people graduate, they are contacted to see what they are doing at the time. And for students who had studied entrepreneurship, whether that be on the MSc or undergraduate, the most recent stats are that 95% of all those students contacted either have started their own business or have got a great job. And that was the highest in the university. So from a starting point, that's a really good base to go from. The next thing is that entrepreneurship, yes, we focus on what it takes to start a business from scratch, become a startup, and we take people through that process. So if that is what someone is wanting to do, then definitely we're the place to do it. But in doing that, there's actually a huge amount of employability skills that people uncover. And one of our sort of slogans is doing it for real, getting out there and doing real things, real actions, finding out information, talking to people. And these kind of skills, analytical skills, problem-solving skills, and all those kind of things are exactly what employers are looking for. And if you can evidence on your CV that you have these skills and you've demonstrated it because you've gone and done things, that will make you stand out from the competition, other students who may have just gone to university and basically sat in a classroom.
Yeah, I think that helps keep things in perspective. I think employability, of course, is a huge mark of the high standards of any academic entity per se. Stuart and Marcus, I think I'd like to ask both of you. I mean, both of you can pitch in, weigh in, chime in. I would love to know, how does the MSc Entrepreneurship fit almost any learner coming from any background? Would it still make sense?
All right, if I tell that one, Marcus. Obviously, Praneet, Marcus is the boss, right, on this call, so it's very important to make sure he's happy. You know, one of the most important things about entrepreneurship is to be very customer centric, and so one of the things we've done since I've been at the Falmouth MSc is really change how we teach for all the students that arrive. And each cohort has its own differences and its own ways of learning. What we're always trying to do, though, is build experiences that help the knowledge turn into real actions. And so we change those experiences and we morph them depending on what the real needs are of each student. So from any background, you can really get into the experiences and absorb the knowledge and turn it into practice. I should tell you, Praneet, because we've not met before, that I'm a total geek for startups type stuff. Having built 9 of my own companies before, you know, I teach part-time on the MSc, but I bring really current knowledge of what startups are doing, raising money, growing, beginning, ideating, and the ideation and MVP stuff is what I look after. I've previously built incubators for early stage companies in Bangalore and Boston and Lisbon. So I bring a lot of that experience to it. And if anybody who's on the call wants to do a bit of a Google search for a bit of my history, then if you just Google Tech Hub in Bangalore, you'll find probably a video or 2 of me and some images of what we were doing there. So
Wow.
I hope that helps, Praneet. But basically a geek for startups and everything startup-y.
I'd also take this opportunity to let all our learners know that that's one of the peak the peak highlights, but also one of the greatest perks and benefits of studying abroad. I think the fact that individuals like yourself who run startups outside the university come and teach and bring all of these real world challenging and pressing issues into the classroom and make them reverse engineer the right solution for them. And I think with you, I can only imagine how learning outcomes are so much more accelerated than someone who's not exposed to how the world is at this point from an entrepreneurial lens. But I jump to Sam and I come back to you. I really want to know from you, Stuart, if I were a student going into MSc Entrepreneurship at Falmouth, who would I really be studying with? So what does your class look like? Who does it have? What age group? Have they all built their own startups or they are building? But I think I'd love to jump to Sam, because Sam, we have to respect the heartbeat and the pulse of how my student community thinks. I think the first question they want an answer to is how much will it cost and what is the maximum stretch scholarship that Sam or Falmouth can really extend to international students. Of course, I think if you want, I can also introduce our arrangement of how students will move to Falmouth after doing GGU, but we can talk about that after. I'd love to know first, how much does it cost in scholarships?
Thank you, Praneet. Yeah, it's really useful to just get a sort of ballpark idea of the fee structure before you look at the detail. Our fees are broadly comparable to lots of other UK top business schools. So this figure should probably give you an introduction to the budget that you would need to study at a good business school in the UK. I'll talk in terms of GBP. We currently have 100 rupees to the pound, so it's nice and easy. So £1,000 is approximately 1 lakh rupees. Our fees for 2024 are between 19,300 and 19,950. So around the 20 lakhs mark. We have a substantial discount for students who join us through the upGrad route. We've been able to make some efficiency savings by combining with the GGU course. So for this particular program, the fee for the 12 months will be reduced from around the 20 mark to around the 13 or 14 mark. So in terms of scholarships, yes, we do have some competitive scholarships as well. The full details of those are being announced this month. But the first stage is somebody must apply for the course, get an offer for the course, and then they can be eligible to compete for a scholarship as well. So hopefully that answers the question about the fee structure.
Thank you, Sam. That helps keep things in perspective. Sam, I also want to know the living cost. You did mention that Falmouth is not a metropolitan city, and I think that really helps ensure that students can save a lot of cash when it comes to their living expenses. How much do you factor the living expenses to be, Sam?
So the cost of living has been increasing around the world recently. Our current students tell us that they're budgeting a minimum of £1,000 per month. But to be comfortable, probably £14,000, £15,000 for the year would be a comfortable budget. Although we are outside of a big city, so you don't have the same costs as accommodation in London, for example. We are in a very nice part of the world, and there's lots of attractions and distractions. So everything depends on the individual's lifestyle.
Got it. I can see a lot of students here raise their hands. I'd love for you guys to put your questions on the Q&A button to uphold the sanctity of the space. I can't let you guys talk, but I'd love for you guys to ask us any question. Sam, one of them wants you to repeat the amount of scholarships you can give. Of course, not everyone's going to be entitled to them, but what's the maximum stretch scholarships that Falmouth offers?
So for September, we're just finalizing that for January. So if anybody in the audience is wanting to join straight up in January, we do have some seats available for entrepreneurship, marketing and international business, and we're offering £5,000 scholarship. So that's substantial scholarship for any student who's accepted into the January intake at this stage.
But, Sam, all of these scholarships depend on the merit or depend on the holistic?
For January, anybody who's passing muster and meeting the bar to get a seat on the programme would be awarded that £5,000 scholarship for January. For September, we'll confirm over the coming month.
Got that. So essentially what I understood, the fee is going to be about 19.5 lakhs. They get about 5 lakhs of scholarship. And of course, so I'd like to take a second to explain how the upGrad arrangement with Falmouth works. If you're planning to go to the UK right now, I think chances are that you may want to choose September. And what we've strategized with Falmouth is that we have an American school. It's called Golden Gate University. They issue you a business certificate. It's called a graduate certificate in professional business management. And when you graduate with that, so it's a 6-month coursework. You do that online as you prepare to go to the UK in September. As you do that, 1/3 of your coursework at Falmouth gets reduced. So you get 60 out of 180 credits transferred. That brings your fee down to almost £13,000. And essentially, even if you apply for some scholarship on that, I'm not sure 5K is an acceptable amount of scholarship because you're getting a lower cost any day. But even if you get some scholarship, you can almost complete it at an average cost about 10 lakh rupees, your complete masters. It saves time, it saves money, and you get lesser coursework when you go to the UK, so you can enter the job market much sooner, much easier, much earlier. So that's the upGrad arrangement. I'd love to go to Stuart now and Marcus and talk more about what I had asked. Who am I really going to study with? What is my class going to look like? Will it have CEOs? Will it have entrepreneurs? Will it have startup founders like yourself?
Hi, thanks. Yeah, the classes really, really vary. So I've been here for a couple of years now, and I think every intake has been substantially different from the previous one. So it does vary tremendously. And we have a number of international students who come along. We have a number of UK students, some of whom have graduated initially through the university here and are going on and looking at this as being their next step. So it really varies. But one thing that we know going forward with this course is that there are 2 other MSc courses that run in the business school, and some of the modules are shared with those courses as well. So there's a sustainable practice module, which is shared across students doing marketing or students doing international business. So in addition to the cohort that you go through the course with, you'll also get a chance to study with other students on other courses as well.
And I guess I'd sort of expand on that a bit, Praneet, to say, since I've been doing the lecturing, I think the youngest person I've taught on the course is maybe 22 and the oldest is 63. We have a real mix of different nationalities. Obviously, there's a gender mix as well. And as Marcus said, every cohort's been different sizes, different types of people. And we've had former CEOs, we've got active CEOs, we've got all sorts of people taking a year out to do the masters. Entrepreneurship is a very special skill set, which is useful to any industry, and those kind of things like life skills like resilience and stuff, which come through the entrepreneurship course, they're then very marketable afterwards. So it really does attract quite a variety of people. Most people who favor entrepreneurship, of course, are entrepreneurial. Maybe they've got a family who've already got a business before. They're kind of looking at that and saying, well, how do I do that, but maybe a bit differently? How do I use some of the science of entrepreneurship, not just my gut instinct, that kind of stuff. But it's been one of the pleasures of teaching is that it's just so many different people from so many different backgrounds who then go on to do so many different things. So if I take a couple of examples, we've got one person who graduated who's now doing a volunteerism thing in Madagascar. So every time I see her feed or speak to her, she's just come back from Madagascar or just going to Madagascar, doing a project with that, working very much with the local community there and building kind of value there. Then we've got another startup that was formed out of the course that is an activist for age-related entrepreneurs, so people over the age of 50 who started their own companies. Completely different, and I think they may have even been on the same cohort actually. So that is part of the joy of it, that you meet so many different people and get such a different experience.
Great, that is indeed lovely to know, Stuart. That makes me very intrigued to know, during the coursework, do you also support them in the creation of their startup, or to help them plan? Or I mean, I'm more or less talking about the Launchpad, but I also know that it's not the Launchpad version. But what are they really going to be experiencing if not the Launchpad? Or can they really opt for the Launchpad?
Yeah, well, just so that if people aren't familiar, I've got a big L behind me actually, which is in the Launchpad building. Launchpad was what they call a business accelerator or business incubator, where there was funding available to help people specifically start businesses. But when those people were in Launchpad, they studied the MSc in Entrepreneurship, and so we have updated that. But basically, you're going to be getting essentially the same content as people, literally more than 100 people who have, or 100 businesses have been started in Launchpad. So you're going to be having the same content taught by the same team that's been in place for a couple of years now, in very much the same way. So you really are getting the benefit of that experience of having been through that. And if I could say, I do have a number of slides which kind of illustrate that, and have some as a short video of people, some of the existing international students as well, talking about their experience of learning in this style, which is what we call experiential learning by doing and getting out and doing real kind of entrepreneurial activity.
Got that. We will jump right into it. I just wanted to know from you and Stuart, what are some of the average salaries that students receive after in this course, and what are some of the opportunities that they can expect? I know, Marcus, that of late what's been happening is, as much as there's a huge need of entrepreneurs, a huge need of individuals and leaders who are willing to create value and willing to build teams and willing to make something new, experiment, pioneer. I also know different organizational setups need as many entrepreneurs in mindset in making sure that they can scale up, they can jumpstart something new, they can pioneer something new, they can build something on the edge. How does that look like? I also heard that some of these things, some of these roles are called intrapreneurs, if not entrepreneurs. How does that work? I mean, do you see that there's demand in the UK? Who really is hiring from you after this course?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't know specifically, the exact answer in terms of every student, what they go on and do. But I think the key thing is it's such a range and a variety, wide variety. I mean, famously, if you create your own startup, perhaps in the early years, you're not going to be earning a huge amount of money because you're investing your time in the business and creating something of immense value for later on. Where I was running a session today with some of our international students, looking at family businesses that start and then years down the line can be sold for millions of pounds. That is the entrepreneurial journey that some people go on. Other people, as we said, take these skills and operate highly effectively in exciting businesses. So it really is up to the individual which path they choose. But those skills that enable you to create and grow a business are, yes, the very same skills that can enable you to have a real impact in a business. And I know Stuart will be very keen to come in on this as well.
Yeah, Praneet, you've asked a really good question, and there's so many different ways to answer it, right? So if I just speak from my own perspective, the one thing I really encourage is for people who are going through this program to think very seriously about starting their own thing when they come out of it. And you can get a really good visa into the UK with an innovative side when you start your own company. It's also very favourable terms for raising investment up to 250,000 in the UK under a special tax regimen that's here, and you can do that as a new entity under 3 years old in the UK. So, but within the course, within the stuff that I teach, we also do some very specific skill sets around more agile working practices. So things like, there's a little bit about being a scrum master, working within an agile project. You're doing ideation and customer discovery. You're doing product management. These are hugely marketable skills. And as part of what we do with the experience, so people don't just get taught it, they use it, they do it, they work it through the whole process of the degree. And we also have guest talks from real life practitioners who are actively in this space in the UK and internationally. We've got a big library of those as well, and we have new guest talks in every module. And those people then are now new parts of the professional community that everybody on the course can access and make contact with and say thank you for, and ask also about roles and things happening within their community. So this helps bridge, and it's one of the things that we bring, Marcus, myself and Claire, as active practitioners and former practitioners in businesses. We've got a massive professional network on a global basis. So we bring those people in to showcase firstly that the skills we're teaching are completely current and relevant for today's market, and also showing how those skills are being used and what kind of roles and what kind of value those roles are. So we're super up to date on an annual and modular basis. And I think that's really good for the students. They literally, one of the best bits of feedback I had when we did these guest talks to begin with was somebody said, did you script that for the guest talk, for the guest speaker? Obviously I didn't. I just asked them to come and speak about product management. And they looked at me and they said, well, they've just said in 1 hour everything you've taught us in the entire module. How is it so aligned? And the answer was really simple. It's because what we're teaching is exactly what people are doing out there in the marketplace today. And we're actually doing a depth of skills beyond what the basic practitioners are doing in the marketplace. So it really is teeing people up for success if they embrace it.
And the other thing to mention, anyone in the audience who doesn't know, the visa, the graduate, so Stuart talked about the innovator visa, but if somebody needs to repay an education loan and they just need to get some money in quickly, the 2 years stay back is available for all students joining the course or different courses in the UK. During that 2 years, there's no conditions attached, so somebody can work in any particular sector, any particular salary, so they can repay their loan, get some useful experience, perhaps step away from their entrepreneurship journey if that's necessary, but maybe do that in the background. The important thing to note, though, is that although you have that time, the companies in the UK have lots of great opportunities, but they are choosy and they expect students to be able to talk about the skills that they have. So we look at career literacy. Our careers team is working to make sure that not only do people have marketable skills, as Stuart mentioned, but they also understand how an employer is hiring, how to put yourself in the best potential position. So working with the careers teams early on is almost as important as thinking ahead and doing your academic planning in order to make the most of that 2-year opportunity after study. So the opportunities are there, fantastic opportunities, but employers of course are choosy. So it's getting those practical skills in a course like this, but also having the wherewithal to sell your skills to the employer as well, which is really important.
About that, Sam. Yeah, and I think it's very helpful for students to know that the university is going to support them, handhold them, and ensure that they're duly helped with resources and their job search is made, is optimized, ensuring that they have the right match as soon as they step out of the college. I understand that. I think I'd wait for a few minutes for students who've joined us to ask a couple of questions. And at this point, I also want all of you who are here with us to put aside MSc Entrepreneurship, even if you want to put aside Falmouth for a little while. Talk to Sam, Marcus, and Stuart about the UK. Ask them if UK is the right choice, and then we'll talk about why Falmouth makes sense or why entrepreneurship makes sense. But I think I'd love to invite you guys to talk to Sam about the UK. They're not only living in the UK, but I think they're in that industry where they're answering this question for students every single day. And I think might be able to extrapolate certain insightful information. Sam, we've got a couple of questions here for you. Hi, I would like to know what is the percentage of placement? So Stuart's mentioned it's 95% are either employed or have made their company, have founded something within 8 months, which is darn good. They give you a £5,000 scholarship. What about spouse dependent? Well, unfortunately, UK gives you, of course, I mean, needless to say, it gives you a 2-year GIR, that's graduate immigration visa, where you have 2 full years to work after you graduate. The spouse visa is currently not functional, but I think as a dependent, you can of course visit the UK. I'd still like Sam to talk more about it after this. How easy is it currently to renew the work visa after the post-study 2-year work visa? I think Stuart and Sam, that's one question I have for you guys. What really happens after GIR? I mean, if I still have a work contract, what really happens? And during the GIR, if I'm working for McKinsey or KPMG or XYZ, if they want to retain me, what happens next?
It's a great question. We're going to need to be a bit careful with any visa questions. Just to say, always check the official government advice because it can change. And we're obviously recording today's session as well. I wouldn't want anyone to go off any out-of-date information. But in terms of the experience of our past students and how it generally works, nobody has to go on the GIR when they finish. There's a lot of different visa opportunities. So somebody could get a great job and immediately move to a different type of visa. The GIR is just one option. So that gives you 2 years to meet the threshold for other visas. So during that 2 years, you can work your way up the ladder if you're moving into the corporate world, or if you're needing to meet a salary threshold, which is one of the most common conditions. Or as Stuart mentioned, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur and you're looking to set up a business, there's an innovator visa and there's no salary threshold on that, but there's other conditions attached that maybe Stuart would want to talk about. So you've got a lot of options at the end of the course, but at the end of the GIR, if you're going into employment, then you need a job that meets certain conditions. It may be in certain sectors, it may be a certain salary threshold, but that's always a changing landscape. So do check the official information on that. But what's certainly true is that the whole platform of different visas that the UK government rolls out, and particularly in terms of very good bilateral relations between the UK and India, and between our respective prime ministers. Our aim is to bring the most talented students into the workforce, into the UK, to help us to compete, to help our companies have the pick of the most talented entrepreneurs and business people, and to drive our industry and commerce forward. So all our visa, different complicated visa options are all in that same spirit, that if you can show that you have skills, there'll be opportunities for you in the UK.
Thank you, Sam.
So that
Stuart,
was a really good explanation from Sam. I think he's very up to date on stuff. I can just speak from my perspective on the startup visa and the kind of innovative visa side, because I work, one of my other roles is I support a visa endorsing body and looking after those things. And what we do basically is check in at the beginning with we do like a full review with the entrepreneur, looking at the business and the idea and the thing that they're pursuing, and they can be really, really early stage ideas. And then we provide them with a check-in and support every 6 months to make sure that they're still surviving and thriving with their idea. And it's an amazing visa and a great opportunity in the UK, because what I like about it most as an entrepreneur is it puts everything in your control. So you're building your business, you're doing your startup, you're raising your money and doing things, and as a result, you keep your visa. So it's not in somebody else's decision matrix of, oh, we think we're going to fire you from your role today, or you don't quite fit to KPMG, so we're going to let you go. You know, it's all in your control. If you keep going with the business, if you keep doing good things in the country through entrepreneurship, then you get to keep that visa and then expand it on further and even become resident if you want to. So I really like it.
well, that's very interesting, Stuart. Thanks for highlighting. I actually didn't know about that. So going back, I think you're saying if as a student I can create value and I can register or build a startup, and as long as the startup's running substantially fine and is making money, is trying to create value for individuals in the UK, I can stay in the UK as long as I can run that startup.
Absolutely. And there's a couple of things which I've seen people do within that process as well, which is, of course, firstly, you end up wanting to stay and actually become resident in the UK. And for some people, that long-term investment is really important to them. And the second thing they end up doing after a couple of years is their organization becomes a sponsor for other people with visas. So they bring colleagues from India or from other countries into the UK working in their company. That's a really lovely way of sort of joining all the dots together for the journey and sharing in the experience with others.
Got that. Wonderful. At this point, I'd love to ask if there's any other question at all. I know Rahul's asking, can anyone tell us about MBA and the maximum scholarships available? Sam, I can see Marcus raising his...
If I could just clarify one point. So Stuart has made some really, really excellent points about the startup visa situation. And as he mentioned, he works independently of the university on sponsoring with a sponsor organisation for startups. So I did just want to be totally clear that it's not something that the university formally does itself, but obviously having Stuart's experience of that means that as you go through the course, you can actually get that kind of same kind of input into your business development ideas as he would give in his other role there. And also just to say, I think Sam would also clarify this, that as a student, you can't start a business on your student visa, but what you do on our course is you get to the point where when you finish the course, you are ready to start. So you've got everything in place. Should you wish to do that, then you'll have everything in place. So just wanted to be totally clear there about what is provided and the excellent experience that Stuart brings to the course.
Thank you. And also want to know that, is it possible for an international student like myself to single-handedly register a startup, or do I need a UK national to co-found a startup with me?
Well, Praneet, if you want to register a company, I'm sure we can make it work. It'd be great to have you in the UK. But I think there certainly were, and subject to how things have changed, and Sam's point at the beginning was super important, that these visa requirements, they're changing all the time and keeping up with them is quite tricky. But the way it worked with a number that I've looked after is that they were able to register independently. There are also some newer visas, which are where you do it with a UK national, kind of joining up into your board structure, into the directors of the company. And I think you can still do them independently, but you are subject to a vetting by the government and by the visa endorsing body to make sure you are a credible person doing something that you're capable of, and you've got a new and innovative idea that you're bringing to the country that maybe hasn't been done here before. But I've seen a huge variety of entrepreneurs come through that matrix and be endorsed by the government to do it.
So, and yeah, to repeat on that and what Marcus said, we have students who under a student visa, you cannot, as an international student, register a company with Companies House, but you can do everything in preparation for that, building your business plan, doing your market research and building your team, developing your idea, etc. So everything can be ready to go. And we do have co-founders where there would be some internal sort of legalistic agreement with the co-founders. So their shares are sort of deferred until they leave that visa. So yeah, there are definitely ways around this. And of course, we're a very enterprising group of academics and lecturers. So yeah, everyone will find a solution. So if you are watching this and thinking, I've got an idea, I'd like to launch it in the UK, I think the first thing we'd say is get in touch with us and let's have that conversation.
Absolutely. I think entrepreneurship is not just limited to having a new idea all the time. I think so many Indian students are trying to execute on things that they know are ideas they may have picked from someone else, but feel they can execute on them better. And I also believe that sometimes, when they go to a formal school and then they study entrepreneurship formally, they will meet many like-minded individuals who would be willing to join hands to start something fresh and create value. I think if one's got the right idea and one's a scaler, they both make a killer combo and things can really pick up. So at least personally, I feel that going abroad actually helps you network so much better and find individuals who resonate with your idea or your worldview and how you envision the world, or how would you like to create value for making this a much better place than the one you inherited. So I'm very confident that the course really works, and I think the fact that it's so global that anyone can take it. I'd like for other students to start asking any questions they have. I've got one here. Can you please repeat the MBA part? How to get an MBA degree? How does it work? What's the fee structure? Sam? Although we know it's not under a partnership, but you can still answer that for students who want to come to you straight.
Sure. So MBA in UK terminology is really reserved for courses for people with management experience. The course is designed in such a way that students are reflecting on their practical experience. So there's some very strict entry requirements around that, certainly for accredited MBAs. What we offer are MSCs, which are at the same level, but are taught in a much more structured way and offer much more depth as well as breadth within the chosen field. So the master's courses that we're offering are around £19,000 to £20,000, depending whether it's January or September. So that's equating to 19 or 20 lakhs rupees. UK universities, unlike US and many other countries, are public universities. And what this means is that if you're paying money to the university, there's no shareholders, there's no profits being taken. All the money that you're investing is going into your education. So it's going into the faculty teaching you, into your equipment, into the career service. So although it's a high cost, if you pick the right course, you can also expect a high ROI. There's no shareholders taking some of the money.
Could I just butt in at this stage? I've got a really hard deadline at past because I'm teaching. So if I could do the course outline with the slides, with the video, that would be greatly appreciated, because at past I absolutely have to go.
And perhaps I can answer in the Q&A. I'll answer
sure, yeah,
in the chat if that works, Puneet.
Sure, and I also saw that Marcus wants to share the slides. If he wants to, he absolutely can. I think we
Yeah.
can, although I think what we can also do, Marcus, we can send a copy of the slides to all of these students. And I think
Yes, can arrange for that afterwards. Yes, yeah. So
Sure.
I'll just attempt to start sharing now. People see that, is that shared successfully?
I don't think so.
You're not doing that. So what's going on here then? So, oh, okay, sorry. Right, let's, I see. Yeah. I think that's better.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Why isn't that? There we go. Super. Okay, so this is about the MSc Entrepreneurship and Innovation Management, which myself and Stuart and two other colleagues teach on. The first thing I wanted to do was to draw your attention. There is a web page all about that. If you search for Falmouth MSc Entrepreneurship, you'll find that very easily. But I also wanted to share with you the video that is on the page, which is a really nice video and also features some students, international students. So it's right here near the top. So I'll get that going. Hi, my name is Marcus Simmons and I'm the course leader for MSc Entrepreneurship and Innovation Management. On this course, we use a thing called experiential learning. We don't just teach you about entrepreneurship, we teach you through entrepreneurial activities.
This MSc Entrepreneurship course is quite different compared to what we have in India. So we just have a textbook that is provided by our school or colleges, and then learn everything. And then there's a written examination. Over here, it's not like that. It's all about how you understand and apply it. That is how I differentiate between what I did back in India and what I am doing currently here in UK.
So why is it some business ideas succeed and other ones don't? On this course, we help you navigate this. There are three fundamental ways you can look at a business idea. Firstly, is it desirable? Do people want it or need it? Secondly, is it feasible? What's required to bring this idea to life? And could you do that? Or do you need other people to work with? And finally, is it viable? Can this business idea actually make money? And if so, what does that look like?
Rather than sitting back, expecting something to happen, you are making something work yourself. You have to go talk to people, or you have to go and find a solution to it, and you have to work on it to make it work. I think it's important to listen to customers, to find what their problems are, and to find a better solution to it.
The campus here at Falmouth is absolutely fantastic. It's in a brilliant setting just by the sea, and it really helps you become creative and innovative. The golden thread running through this whole course is sustainability. It's not appropriate to have a business that just uses up the Earth's resources. You have to be part of the solution rather than the problem. All through the course, you will learn about how to make sure that your ideas are sustainable, not just for the year ahead, but for many decades ahead. One of the great things about being here at Falmouth is the university has a really creative focus. There are lots and lots of people you can collaborate from all sorts of different kind of courses. There are incredible facilities from all sorts of different departments and faculties and schools that as a student here you can have access to, and not just the equipment and the facilities, but the knowledge and the expertise of all the people as well. So if you are thinking about starting your own business, or you want to be more innovative in an existing business, then this really is the ideal place for you to come and make sure that the ideas that you have are really challenged and tested to make sure that they are successful. Okay, fantastic. So that's a really nice course video that's available. People can watch that whenever they want. First thing to say about Falmouth again is its incredible location. So you can see at the top there the really fantastic campus that we have. Cornwall is famous for surfing. There's a lovely town that you can see at the bottom. So it's a really, really nice place as an alternative to a city location. Now, this is the structure of the course. So you can see here that on the course, there are 30 credit modules and the 60 credit modules. Now, if you come through the upGrad method, these ones are what you don't have to do, if you like, because the business course that you've already studied will give you the credits for those modules. And so these are the two that you will do in the first two study blocks. Sustainable practice, so obviously focusing on the solutions, the business solutions for tomorrow in a more sustainable world. And also product ideation, of working out what makes a great business idea. And you do something that we call a design thinking sprint. And then you skip onto, in the third study block, your major project, your final major project. So this is all about building up a good sustainable business proposition that you then build into a fully fledged business plan in your final study block. One thing to say about the assessment is that there are no exams. All the assessments are very practical, so they're either written or they are presentations. And the practical side is, for example, the dissertation. It's not a traditional dissertation, it is a business plan. So the business idea that you work on, either by yourself or with other team members, that is the output for that. There's also critical evaluations and portfolios of work. So a really varied mixture of assessments. And here is, these are some of the students who were speaking actually on the video on the right hand side there with sort of traditional outfits on. They did a development they called Hurry Curry, really fantastic business idea that they developed. And this was one evening in the studio here just a couple of weeks ago, where they served up meals for 50 people, and they got outstanding reviews about that as well. And that really is a great example of students that develop an idea, and then we encourage them to go out and, well, how can you test that that really works, that people like it? And they've just learned so much from that. It's incredible by doing these real life things. And this was someone that I think Stuart or Sam mentioned before, Chloe, who set up a voluntourism business, goes out to Madagascar and actually teaches local people business skills and other skills that she has learned on the course. So it's a really nice example of the kind of varied outputs that are on the course. This is a summary of the team. These are the 4 people who currently teach on the course. There's myself, who set up an award-winning business a few years ago, well, 20 years ago actually, that did in the early days of online accommodation booking before Airbnb. You've got Stuart there, founded 9 businesses, lots and lots of current business involvement. Claire, who's very much focused on sustainability and advising very large companies as well on strategy. And also Jamie, who has a local business portfolio and lots of experience with the local business design and strategy as well. So that's the team. This is I just did this screenshot this morning of our latest feedback of our module reviews. These are slightly different modules because, as I said, we've updated the course, but largely the content is the same. So we can see a lot of very satisfied students in terms of what they think of the teaching and the challenge in the assessments. This is something we're also very, very proud of in Falmouth, the course itself and some of the provision that we provide along with Launchpad got recognised recently, just 2 months ago, the National Enterprise Educators Award for Exceptional Entrepreneurship Education. So we're really, really proud of that. Also, Falmouth, in the most recent figures, is 4th in the UK, in the whole UK, of all universities in the UK. We are number 4 in terms of the number of businesses created by students. And also, a stat we're very proud of, 95% of the people who study entrepreneurship are either got a great job or they're running their own business. So it really, really is an incredible place with this kind of experience behind us. So who is the course great for? Well, mainly the biggest thing, but not the only thing, the biggest thing is for students who want to start a business. So if that is something you're interested in, I can think of no better place. If you want to grow an existing business, so you might want to introduce innovative new products or services. So it could be a business you already own, a family business, or potentially where you work, and if you are going to come back to where you work and produce great innovative products for them, perhaps they might be interested in sponsoring you. That's just a suggestion. But basically, if you've got lots of business ideas, And also, perhaps you don't know which is the best. And that's quite a common thing that we've come across, and we can help people work out, of all the ideas they got, what are actually the ones most likely to succeed. And then in terms of what sets us apart, it's this experiential learning, doing it for real. It's kind of, you don't just learn about entrepreneurship, you learn through these activities, and the learning is so much better for that. And the learning is also based on your developing a business idea, either on your own or in a team. And I would say really the most practical entrepreneurship course in the UK. So at the end, you are ready to launch your business, and you are educated in that from experienced entrepreneurs and innovators. And that is the slide deck which we will share with you later. So thank you for watching that. Just need to stop the screen share here if I can do that.
Well, thank you, Marcus. I think that does give everyone a lot clearer picture on the course, on the opportunities, on the outcomes, and what can they expect from Falmouth with respect to this course. I'd request all of you to write to us at social@upgrad.com. I have put down the email address. I will put it down once again. I'm sorry, I'm putting down the correct email address, social@upgrad.com. I'm also going to put down for you guys my email address, if in case you want to put forth any questions, any counseling requests, any information. And I think I will help you get in touch with Sam, Stuart, Marcus at any point. If you want, you can talk to them through me. We can ask them plenty of things about Falmouth and how to pick the right course. But I'd like to thank everyone, including and especially Sam, Brittany, Marcus, and Stuart. It was an absolute pleasure to host you guys. I hope everyone who joined us did take something back, including myself. There's so much that I learned that I didn't know. Thanks again. And finally, I'd invite Sam and Stuart to say a quick word each, and then we close the webinar.
I would just say thank you to everyone who asked a question today. It's really important that you ask your questions, that you keep asking the questions before you make your mind up. And when you get to maybe the UK, keep asking your questions in the class, and that way you'll get the most out of your time.
Yeah, I'd love a good question. Thank you so much, Praneet, for the hosting today. Really excited about this partnership with upGrad and looking forward to meeting the new students when they arrive in January and beyond.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Stuart's also given us his LinkedIn handle in case you want to join and know more about his journey. You can, of course, connect with him. I think the fact that he shared his LinkedIn would mean that he's open and accessible for you guys to ask any question at all. My colleague Arushi has put down a few links. You can browse through our courses in the UK, Germany, US, everywhere else in the world, Canada, Finland, France. Just see which one suits you the best. I would, of course, advocate the UK for the amount of entrepreneurial opportunities that it has. Whenever there's an economy that's developed, there is always more scope to pioneer newer models of business, newer ideas, newer ways to create value, new ways to unlock what technology infusion can do to regular day-to-day industries. I think UK is a hotbed of what you as students can actually do with your experiment. Especially when you're going for a course that has like-minded individuals who've all come together to set up a startup. The more you experiment, the more you pioneer, the more breakthroughs you have. I think when you start creating values, when you jump from one idea to the next, one of them will definitely click. And I'm sure Marcus, Stuart, and Sam agree to this. Not every idea works, but I think every failure brings you to the right idea. And I think that's very important. Thanks, Marcus. Thanks, Stuart. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.